Now, all of us tend to be more like the younger brother or the older brother. Now, when I first met Esther in Canada, she asked to drive my car. Somehow I said yes. And the first thing she did is she started doing handbrake turns in the car park while I clutched on white knuckle to not look like I was upset by this. She tends to be a bit more like the younger brother. Now, when I'm at work, I often go through the bins to put things into the right bin. I just see the paper, they're right beside each other. I see the paper cups are there, and all they had to do was do this and that. I mean, anyway, I tend to be a bit more like the older brother. When we're at home, Esther spends too much. You know, I come home every day, and there's always something different, which I'm pleased with, but whereas when Esther was in labor, I wouldn't break the speed limit to get to the hospital faster. We had 10 minutes. I mean, we could get to know the midwife afterwards. So, I mean, whereas at school, Esther tried, pushed all the boundaries and was constantly in detention. Whereas I loved school. You know, I was that kid who was always in the library. I was like, can we get some more homework for, not just me, everyone. I think we'd all like it. So, now, while I was writing this talk, I was trying to find a good way to really describe what the younger brother character is like. Now, fortunately, just on cue, at work, this came along. Now, I have to tell you the story because this is just bizarre. So, I'm rushing on my way to a meeting, but I saw everybody queuing around somebody, and in my mind, free food is worth more than being late to a meeting about pension legislation. So I thought, I'm going to stop. And I said, what's going on? So apparently, somebody up in finance had won 1,000 of these as a prize, and they thought, well, we can't do much with this. So they said, I'll give them away, and people can donate money to charity. Now, this goes off out of, so this is a fruit souffle. This goes out of date on Monday. This would be like the equivalent of somebody saying, and the winner wins 1,000 pounds of cheese. Please come to the front. What are you going to do with that? It was bizarre, but being the lover of free food that I am, I took two. I had some last night as well. They were very nice. But on the back, these are, I don't know if anybody's seen these goo things before. Let me just read it to you. Pleasure is everything. Give in to happiness. Reject propriety. Embrace variety. Prudence is so 1658. Life is fleeting. Clasp it with both hands. Seek delight. Trust your impulse. Ordinary is pointless. Break free. This is the younger brother. He can't wait. He's idolizing pleasure over everything else. You know, these are good things, though. These are gifts from God. Happiness, delight, pleasure. You know, these are all amazing gifts, and they're good things. But the younger brothers turned these good things into God things. You know, he's putting them before anything else. Now, the older brother, on the other hand, he's toiling in the field. He's helping the poor. He's doing everybody's recycling for them. He's on every committee. He's doing the right thing all the time. He can't understand why other people get into so much trouble. They should just follow all the rules like he does. He's heard every sermon, and he knows exactly who should be listening to it. It's not him. The problem with the older brother is that he's doing all the right things, but for the wrong reasons. He's trying to use God like a vending machine. He's done all the right things. God has to do what he asks for. You know, he's proud of his morality. And he looks down on his younger brother for not having the willpower like he does to do the right things. You know, the Bible talks about this sort of religious pride. It talks about it a lot. Now, our English translations change the words so they're not as crude as the Bible. But the Bible says that in God's eyes, this sort of religious pride is like a giant steaming pile. And in other bits, it talks about it being used rags. If you don't know what that's referring to, you can ask me afterwards. But he can't even see that he's doing anything wrong. You know, in a way, it's easier for the younger brother. At least he knows he's messing up. But the older brother just doesn't see it. You know, this was Esther and me in the sea, though. We may have been on different boards, but we were still in the same sea. We were still being pulled out deeper and deeper, and we were still going to drown. It didn't matter how hard we paddled, we couldn't do it on our own. We had to be rescued by hot Australians. But this brings us back to the most amazing part of the story. The amazing thing about both these brothers is that the father comes out to meet them. He meets both of them where they are, even though it's humiliating to him. So in the story, it talks about how the father was waiting for the younger brother. And when he saw him, he ran out to him. Now, back then, respectable older men never, ever ran. Now, children ran, women ran, older men never ran. Because back then, an older man would wear long robes, and if he had to run, the only way to run is to hitch up your skirts, tuck them into your belt, exposing your lily-white legs, and run like a little girl. But you know what? That's your dad running towards you. It's amazing. Whereas for the older brother, as the host of the party, to have to come outside and plead with your son to come into the party and to be insulted to your face is so humiliating. Back then, the minimum punishment for that would have been for him to have been kicked out of the village for the rest of his life. But actually, in most cases, he would have been killed. It was that humiliating for him. But you know what? He doesn't do any of that. He's just standing there pleading for the son to come in and see the party. Younger brothers, you guys are looking. You're searching for something. Maybe you go back and forth with God constantly. Maybe you're at church on Sunday with a hangover. You go back and forth all the time. Maybe you don't know God at all. Maybe you do know that there's something, but you do know there's something bigger than you out there. But whatever it is, you haven't found it yet. In some ways, it's easier for you because it's obvious. You know that you're messing up, and you swing back and forth all the time, and you need help. But you can run and run all you want, but if you turn around, he's just waiting for you. Did I mention pizza? Giant pizza? Now, older brothers, maybe you've come to church your whole life. You've always done the right thing, and it irritates you when the younger brother gets away with it. This is me through and through. I try so hard to do the right thing. And if you just did a little bit more, God would have to love you. You don't know how to relax when there's so much hard work to be done. But your dad's waiting inside the party, asking you to come in to enjoy that giant double-stuffed crust 4-cheese pizza. He's just waiting for you to let go of your religion and your self-righteousness. But in this story, there's a third brother. He's the one telling this story. He's the key to all of this. He's not the rebellious younger brother. He never sinned. And he's not the religious son either, but he's going to be killed by them. He's the Son of God. Now, Jesus came as our big brother who came on a mission to die in our place. He came in our place for what's called the Great Exchange. He went to the cross, and there was a great exchange where he took on our sin, and he died because of it. Now, for those of us who are rebellious, he took all our rebellion. There is nothing that you could do that he can't deal with. And for those of us who are religious, all of our religion, there is no amount of pride or self-righteousness that he can't deal with. And he offers to put it to death for us. Now, you might have thought there were only two ways, either rebellion or religion, but Jesus gives us a third way. He calls us to put those to death through his death. And as he rises from the dead, he offers to bring us with him, to be free from all of it. Now, I'm going to pray, and if any of this has left you feeling heavy-hearted, that's often a good thing. That's God's way of inviting you to say sorry and change something. And as you do that, Jesus will set you free from the past. Now, we're going to have some music and just have a couple minutes quiet. Now, if this isn't for you, it's fine, just sit there quietly. But if you have business with God, this might be a good time to just, good space to think and pray about that. And you know, Esther and I will be around afterwards anytime if anybody wants to talk, pray about any of this. And after the band will